Hi, I'm Phil Pustiovsky with another real estate investing training tip for you. If you're trying to flip real estate properties, you need to be able to get the deal that you have in front of as many real estate investors as possible. Isn't that right? Okay, so what most people tell you to do is go build a list. And they're right. You have to go build a list. But just because you have a list of real estate investors in your area who want to buy good deals, that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be able to sell it to them, because you have got to get it in their hands. Now, there's only really two ways to do that. Email them and call them. Now, calling them, sure, that works, but also is laborious and time-consuming, right? And some people don't even like making phone calls, so a lot of people opt for blasting out an email. Okay, well, in this training tip, I'm going to show you how to write the perfect real estate investing email to flip properties to other investors. Are you ready? Okay, great. A couple of things you need to know about email marketing, and you may have heard these terms before, but I'm going to define them in a little bit more detail. Number one, we've got deliverability. Fancy word, deliverability, to describe getting your email to as many people as possible without it going to their spam folder. That's what deliverability is. Now, fascinatingly enough, most of the major email marketing services, Aweber, iContact, Constant Contact, and so many others, they typically are only getting a good maybe 10, maybe 15% deliverability on people that have opted in. That's not very good, is it? Because again, if you're trying to flip properties to other investors, you probably don't have a list of 10,000 people, right? You may have a list of 50, 100, 150. And you'd like your email to be delivered to all of the people on your list, right? Okay, so here's how you do that. You want to use one of your email clients like Outlook or Gmail or Yahoo. If you start using one of those other services, and here I'll put their names over here, like Aweber or iContact or any of those others, you're not going to get the same deliverability rates. Does that make sense? Now, what that means is if you're sending them through this service, like Outlook or your Gmail account, and someone says they don't want to be on your list, make sure you take them off. That's the Canned Spam Act. But these here aren't going to give you as good deliverability. You got it? Pretty simple. Send it out of the same email you send when you're sending an email to your friends, your family. That's going to improve your deliverability. Now, if you have a massive list of 10,000 people, which I doubt you do, because there's typically not that many local investors in your area, then you may want to look at this service, but for most people, just send it out of your normal system. Okay, number two is open rate. Okay, so if you're getting the emails delivered, now you need a good open rate. Now, what determines open rate? Your subject line. That's what you actually put in the subject line of your email. Now, we have done all of the testing we know to do on this subject, and we keep coming up with the single best subject line is this. You start with investor special. And that usually grabs their attention. They understand that they're an investor, okay, investor special. And then what we do is in parentheses, we'll put the address. 123 Main Street. And then the city and state. So that's our subject line. And that tends to get the best open rate. You see? So you get the highest deliverability you can. Now the highest open rate. The people actually open the email. That's the key. You want them to open it. Okay, and next what we're going to talk about is the third thing is going to be actually what's said in the email. Now, in email marketing terms, they call it click-through, like where they actually read the email and take the action. Okay, so I'm going to call it click-through, but you may not actually be sending them to a website, but you want them to take the action that you're describing in your email. Does that make sense? Okay. Now, watch this, and watch this very carefully. If this is your subject line of your email, here's what you want to do. You want your email to start with the following phrase: okay, so here's the deal. Write that down. Okay, so here's the deal. See, if you're an investor and it says investor special and it has an address on there and you actually buy properties and fix them up, you're not just a wannabe, you're a real buyer. Those are the people you're trying to connect your deal to. They're going to appreciate the fact that it says, okay, so here's the deal. And furthermore, you want this to be a text email, okay? What's the alternative? The alternative is an HTML email, and we don't want to do that. Some people do, and that's fine. The problem with an HTML email is that not everybody can read an HTML email, and if they're looking at it on their phone, they may not be able to understand it. You want text. You want to say, okay, so here's the deal. You want to put after repaired value this amount, will sell for this amount, and here's the next piece. So you've got, okay, so here's the deal. After repaired value is this is what we'll sell it for. It needs some work. You don't have to always put the exact amount that needs to be done because they'll go calculate that anyways. And then you put at the end of the email, and you can put as much text in there as you want to, but the smaller the better. And that's what you're going to say, you know, if no offers are made on this property, in 7 days, I start the deal myself. And that is a huge part of this email. Because what you're doing is if you're getting good deliverability, you're getting a good open rate, now you got their attention, now you've got to get them engaged, and you have to answer a couple of questions. And the main question you have to actually answer is if you're trying to flip a property to another investor, they need to be able to answer the question in their mind, if the deal is so good, how come you're not doing it? Does that make sense? And you're going to answer that because you're going to give them a time frame. You're going to say if nobody makes an offer, and you put the amount on there as well. So this is how much it's going to be once it's all fixed up. This is how much we're asking. If we don't get an offer, then in 7 days or 9 days or however long you want to set that time frame for, we start the project ourselves. And see what that does? It answers the question of why you would be flipping it when you could do it yourself. And the answer is they can do their own math and say, okay, so he's probably done his math and he's going to sell it for this much or she's going to sell it for this much. And if they don't get that, they're just going to start out in 7 or 9 days. And what it also creates is a sense of urgency. You're giving them a time frame on when they need to follow through. So it's a very powerful strategy. Less is more with this email. Your job in the email is to get it to them, get them to open it, and pique their interest. And get them to go ahead and make the next step, which is to either drive by the property, call you up and say, I'd like to look at it. Get them committed to moving towards figuring out whether or not they want to do the deal. That is how you create the perfect email to send to investors to flip properties and to get deals moved quickly when the eventual buyer is going to be an investor. So go back over one time. Deliver it with Outlook or one of your other email systems you already use. Make the subject line investor special and the address. And then to create a good click-through, make sure it's a text email. Make sure you start with, okay, so here's the deal. This is the after repaired value. This is how much we're asking. And if we don't, if nobody makes an offer within 7 days, we start on the project ourselves. Here's the phone number to call me back if you're interested. Here's the address, and we'll talk to you soon. That's how you do it. The simpler, the better, and that is going to instantly improve your real estate investing business if you're doing deals like this. Now, if you like what you hear, please get social with it. Share it with your friends. Share it with people who you think would be interested in learning more about these tips. So that is Facebook, your Twitter, that's your Google+. For some, that's LinkedIn. Please share these videos. Get this thing out there. And again, you never know when this is exactly what some friend or family member has been waiting on to help them in what they're doing. So spread this thing around, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks.